Welcome to the Pulse of Story podcast. I am Derek Christopher, and I have a great quote here that I want to read before I introduce my guest. And it's this: It all started with a laptop, free screenwriting software, and a dream to be a television writer. And I love that quote because that sums up everything that I think so many of us are trying to achieve and are trying to accomplish and that we dream of. So please welcome to the show today. We got the great Zack Gutin and the amazing Stephanie McFarlane. Welcome, you guys. Good to see you.
Thanks,
Thank
Derek. Great to be
you.
here.
Thanks for
So
having me.
yeah, you bet. So now, Zack, I've known Zack for a long time. Zack used to be the VP of Sales over at Final Draft Software, and then he went out and started his own company, Think Alike Media. He's done a lot of big stuff. He's done a lot of big events, and now he's doing this incredible event, which really is. I mean, I've been in this space for a long time, and I've never even seen an event like this with so many Oscar and Emmy-winning writers. I mean, huge people. I mean, just some of the list I'm looking at now. It's Tony Kushner, Celine Song, Candace Bushnell, who created and wrote Sex and the City, Michael Arndt, Little Miss Sunshine, David Guggenheim, Lee Daniels. I don't know. Lee Daniels, I thought, was such a great get for this event. And that's only like half the guests that are going to be speaking at his event at the Directors Guild Theater in New York City. And of course, also at that event moderating is Stephanie McFarlane. Now, Stephanie has, when I went and looked at Stephanie's resume, I thought it was amazing. So Stephanie, you were a student at NYU's Tisch School, correct?
Yeah, I went to Tisch and I did dramatic writing.
And then you got the fellowship at HBO Access Fellowship from there.
Yes, my last semester at NYU, applied to the HBO Writers Fellowship and I got it.
And then from there, now, what I read in your bio was from there, you just ended up being staffed on all these shows. I mean, Legacies on the CW, First Kill on Netflix, Me on Apple TV, Heels on Stars, Average Joe on BET, and now you're on FBI on CBS.
Yes.
So I got to ask you first, how does that happen? So what made you want to be a TV writer, first of all?
Well, I think every writer has always been a writer. Like, it's just the thing that we're always doing on the side. I was the weird kid at recess that had a notebook and I was writing stories and poetry and just, reading. That was me. But I
Yeah,
just always thought like writing isn't something that I can make into a career. This is just a hobby.
right.
And then when I got to NYU, NYU opened my world up because I was meeting all of these people who are pursuing, careers as creatives. And I just remember being in my creative writing class and saying, this is exactly what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I promise you, I did a Google search and I said, what career can I do writing? And then I
Wow.
saw the words screenwriting and it was like a light bulb, like
Yeah,
went off in my brain. I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. I didn't know why. I was like, this
yeah,
is it. I have to do this. And so from there, I said, how do I be a screenwriter? And I found the
yeah.
dramatic writing major at NYU and I taught myself to write a script. I applied.
Now, now, how did you teach yourself to write a script?
I watched a bunch of TV and movies. And while I did that, it was like I kind of had my laptop in split screen mode.
Yeah.
While I was watching the TV show, I had up Celtics. That was the free screenwriting software I was using
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah. I know those guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I had up, my show and I had up Celtics. And then I would watch a scene and I would pause and I would write out the scene.
Wow. Steve, that is so smart. You're not only doing the research, you're seeing how they actually make it.
Yes, yes, yes. And then after I read out the scene, if I could find the script, I would
Yeah.
look at the script and I would compare.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was that really the best? Now, I mean, NYU, obviously world famous, film and TV school. What was the better education from NYU? Was NYU more for the connections, and you really learned how to write scripts on your own, or was it sort of both?
I would say NYU definitely taught me how to write scripts. The first script,
Okay.
my opinion, the first script I wrote to get into Tisch, not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Because why?
I would say everything. I mean, I didn't really have my writer's voice yet, so all the characters kind of sounded the same. It wasn't as fleshed out as I
Yeah.
would normally make my scripts now. It's embarrassing. But NYU was amazing because they started you not even with like TV, film, right? They made you study plays first. So that's the first thing that we even do.
Ah, yeah,
We go to the basics of storytelling. So all of my curriculum that first semester was Greek tragedies and
yeah.
reading poetics and reading Socrates and like Medea and like all of those types of plays. And then they trained you in playwriting first. So I'm actually trained in playwriting first, and then
Yeah.
you get to choose to concentrate in TV and film.
Now, did you ever have a desire to be a playwright, or was it just an interesting additional field of study for you?
I think it was just an interesting additional field of study because I mean that's the first form of, and it was plays before it was TV and film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you get the fellowship. Now, how does that happen? How do you get the fellowship, and what exactly do you do in the fellowship?
So when I got the fellowship, it was actually me and my writing partner, and we were using these fellowships as deadlines so that we would actually write.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the process of getting the HBO fellowship, you submit a script. And then from there, you find out you're a semifinalist. You have to do an interview.
Right.
You have to submit another script to become a finalist. And then
And
after
now, is it
that,
original script or is it a spec script?
these
What is
are
it?
originals. There is no spec.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
fully original scripts. And then after that, you actually have to go into the HBO offices and you have to
Yeah.
pitch 3 ideas that you have for shows. And then from there, they choose who's going to be a part of the fellowship.
Wow. So you not just have to be a good writer, you have to know how to pitch and you know have to work it in a room.
Yes. And then once you get the fellowship, they actually paired you with a mentor who was going
Yeah.
to like mentor you through writing a new pilot that's going to serve as your industry sample. And so we
Yeah.
got paired with the SVP of drama at the time, Nora Skinner,
Yeah.
and she was over like my favorite show at the time, The Leftovers. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Yeah, she was over that show, and I just remember thinking, God, she's just the coolest person I've ever met.
Yeah.
And now here she is mentoring me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now how long does that fellowship last?
It lasted 9 months, and
Okay.
so you actually didn't have to be here to do it because it was
Right.
up to you how you connected with your mentor. It could be remote. We came
Oh, okay.
here, yeah, we were here for 1 week, and during that week, they brought in guest speakers, there was a lot of networking events, and I always credit that week for being like my business crash course because
Yeah.
that's when I learned like what a general meeting is, how to take a general meeting, how to take a meeting with an agent, how to pitch yourself, how to pitch your ideas. Like it was all
Wow.
crammed into that week. And it was things that we hadn't talked about at NYU.
Yeah.
NYU was all about how can you write a script and express yourself as an artist, which is great. But then the industry, right? It's an industry, it's a business. So you have to
Yeah.
take those two things and combine it. So I think that's what the fellowship did for me.
So from the time you graduated NYU, you got the fellowship. How long was it? What's the time frame that you actually got staffed on your first show?
I completed the fellowship February 2018, and I got staffed May 2018.
Zach, is that not insane? Is that just that time frame? How quickly she did this?
Well, and you kind of see it, right? Like it's in the diligence of like how
Oh,
somebody builds a
yeah,
career, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's the difference between somebody who's thinking about a career and somebody who puts rubber to the road and really starts doing things like split screening and trying to execute a script and doing that at an early age sets all the momentum and course for those other things to happen. and
yeah,
and as you said about the fellowship, like they challenge her not just to be great on the page, be great in the room too, and that's part of what a career is going to be made of. So
yeah, yeah. And then when you get staffed on these shows, I mean, can you give people just a brief explanation? What does it exactly mean when you get staffed on a show? So if you get staffed on, let's say, First Kill, how does that work for you?
So when you're staffed on a show, you're a part of the writing staff. And basically, my job is I'm one of the writers who pitch on the season of the show. So I brainstorm all day. We bounce ideas off of each other to build out an entire season of a show.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to like the nitty gritty, you know, you maybe we start big and then it turns into, okay, now it's time to get into specific episodes. We all break the episodes together, and then the episode is assigned to a writer to go off and make it their own, bring it back to the room. We'll do notes together. And then from there, it's that writer's job to, you know, carry that baby to screen, go to set, all of it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you got your first script on the air, like how exciting was that?
That was probably the most excited I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Does
was
now do,
very, very, very excited.
does it ever get old though, or is it always like a thrill?
No, it doesn't get old. It doesn't get old. My parents still send me my name every week when FBI is airing.
Ah, that's great. That's lovely. Now, why TV? Do you have any desire to go into screenwriting or no?
I do. I do have desire to go into screenwriting, but I think the reason why I liked TV so much is because I my storytelling taste is like that long-term uh sense where you can like really spend time with
Yeah,
characters. Like I don't know, like the fact that you can get lost in a show for years and years
yeah,
and years, and then you know you feel like, oh, I grew up with this person, and then by the end of it, like you know you have all these emotions. I love everything about TV.
that's great. Now, are you pitching anything of your own? Any things that you've created that developed?
Yeah, me and my writing partner have been pitching our own TV shows as well. Um, and I think everyone on staff kind of does,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, like we obviously we focus on our work inside of the room, but then you also want to keep nurturing your own voice outside of the room as well.
yeah. Okay, Zach, like Stephanie alone could fill a day at one of your events. I mean, just and her TikTok, which I'll put on the screen here, is amazing. There's an amazing amount of content on her TikTok about writing, writers' rooms, how to write, and whatnot. It's fantastic. So I definitely recommend you check that out. But Zach, okay, so you were at Final Draft forever, so you've seen the best and the worst of writers, and I know you love live events, and you did an event in LA called the State of the Story, and you had an amazing lineup there. Now you're doing it in New York, and the line. I've never seen a lineup like this before. I mean, it's really incredible who you have there. So to sort of talk about why are you doing this event and how important is it for writers and what are they going to get out of it?
You know, the idea started a long time ago as the idea of bringing together the best writers. It's really something that feels sort of absent, where unless you're out at like a week-long film festival and you can see these incredible panels, to have a single day event where your commitment is just one day and yet you're enriched by so many of the best from
Yeah,
television, film, agents and managers as well. And so we want people to come away inspired. You know, that's kind of the first thing. And it felt like now was the right time to do it. The industry had gone through a lot of change. And I think for
right.
many people, there was a sense of almost discouragement. And it was important to bring back that sort of sense of community where people get a chance to, if it's commiseration, do it together, talk about the
Yeah,
challenges together, voice those out together. And I think the inspiration comes from seeing the experts there on stage, the people who are really the front lines creating the shows and the movies that we all love and admire, and kind of hearing from them how they got there, how they navigated through those difficulties to get there. And someone like Stephanie becomes an important ingredient in the recipe for what we wanted to create, because I think the conversation itself, in order for it, the spark of that conversation to be about the here and now, we need the experts that have been there, done that, are doing it. We also need the voice of youth. We need the questions that come from an informed
absolutely.
place to bring that chemistry together.
Well, I kind of see Stephanie as almost the glue to the event, that she sort of brings it all together as a moderator and a speaker, that she really makes it accessible to the people that are attending, that want to be the next Stephanie McFarlane, want to be the next Eric Roth, want to be the next Tony Kushner. I think that's where she is so invaluable to your event.
You got it, and you can kind of you see it in the way she answers your questions here, like her
Yeah,
abilities that the things that she's done in her career to this point are all the things, all the points of merit that any writer should be doing. We can't
yeah,
just think about doing, and it's funny because you mentioned her TikTok, which is fantastic, and she had a funny video not too long ago where it was this sort of like inner dialogue of like get writing, you have to be sitting down, you have to be, and every writer kind of knows that turmoil of like, but if you get yourself into that seat, if your
yeah,
fingers start hitting the keyboard, you start the downhill momentum. And all of a sudden, you go to bed at night and you can't wait to wake up the next morning to get right back to it. But you can't get there without doing the things that she's done, which is just getting that best foot forward. And we're
yeah.
hoping people leave our events kind of feeling like they want to do that that night. They want to go home and pull out their laptop and get back to a project or start a new project, whatever it is.
But looking at your guest list in New York, I first of all, how do you get the guest? And then, if you don't mind, I'd actually like to go through pretty much every guest. I want to sort of find out why you picked them, what you think the value is, and what you think people will get out of it.
The last 6 months have been so rewarding of kind of putting out into the world and asking these people to participate with
Yeah,
this concept and their willingness to do it was the first point of validation that they were willing to show up to do this. They wanted to do this. They understood the importance that it served. And I'm not sure that they all understood until they were there that day entirely how important it was, because I
right.
think for some of them they expected that they would come up on stage and give people a good feeling that they got to hear, their heroes speak and that sort of thing. But they themselves, the speakers, came away from that event feeling also a sense of reward of like it really was good to kind of voice some of this out there. And I don't think
Yeah,
they realized how powerful that was going to be for themselves. And so, in reaching out to them, I'll start with John Hurwitz. I mean, John
yeah,
Hurwitz, creator of Cobra Kai, is somebody I have known for the better part of my career, 15 some years now,
yeah.
back to his days on the American Pie movies and things like that. And so when the timing of when I was going to be starting to do this and the completion of Cobra Kai, he just felt like a great person to talk to, most notably because what that show had gone through. It started as a YouTube series and then kind of booted from YouTube, winds up getting this whole new life in Netflix. And you think if you're a writer in today's world, that's the sort of challenge you're going to go through that was
Right.
not familiar in a world just yesteryear. So he's a great voice of like, here's what we went through and look what happened. This series touched a lot of people. People really took a lot away from it, and it could have ended, 1 year in.
Well, let me ask you guys both a question. Right now there's a lot of people seem to be down about the industry. That writing jobs are down, and I think people are trying to maintain some level of optimism by what's going on. Where do you guys see the industry going as far as writing jobs, and how can people stay optimistic about their opportunities?
Well, here's what I'll say to a piece of your question
Yeah,
is that there's never been an easy time to get into the industry.
touche. Yeah,
That is the absolute truth. There's never been an easy time to get into the industry and to stay in the industry. So I just feel like you have to want it and you have to really hustle. Everyone's
yeah.
constantly hustling in the industry.
Yeah, I think as Stephanie said, we are in a world now that still presents more opportunities than some time period prior to the one we're all thinking about. We look at just a few years back, and there was more, but prior to that, there was less. There was at one point just four networks on TV. There was
Yes.
Right.
so there was a point where, and so maybe a recalibration, maybe a market correction of some sort, if you will, but it's still more opportunity than once we had, and certainly the digitization of storytelling, the accessibility now more than ever, just I think paves a future for storytellers where there certainly are more opportunities coming, and there's no opportunity that's going to emerge for anybody if they're just sitting there disappointed and twiddling their thumbs. If they sit down and start breaking something new, all of a sudden they're the ones that breaks the mold. So
Well, and I think too that because I agree. I think there are more opportunities now, and I think the fact that you can write your script and you can shoot it yourself and you can put it out there and you can get a name for yourself. I mean, there are different ways to achieve the goal.
Absolutely, and people should be challenging themselves to the same way Stephanie at one point sat there with her laptop open and like right now you look at the tools that are around you. What can you do with the tools around you? You can write your script while the screen is looking back at you with the TV show, and you're trying to figure out how to do the same thing. Like, could you pick up the camera and try to shoot some scene that looks like something that could you
Yep.
learn what it takes to do that? And I'm sure like Stephanie experienced any writer when you start to do some of those things, it's interesting coming from like the playwriting experience at NYU too. You start to see the difference when you take something off the page, how little
Yes.
you need, and you start to go through an editing experience and you realize, oh boy, I never needed that much dialogue. I never needed. And so you get better and better at what you do the more you try to lift those things off the page. And so before you write 4,000 pages of 20 different screenplays, like get a couple and try to shoot something, try to shoot a few of those
Yeah.
pages with even nothing, just the most basic tools you have, just to get a sense of what that's like.
Well, Stephanie, when you're developing a new idea, how do you know whether it's good or bad? And at what point do you know whether it's good or bad and when to keep running with it or just abandon the idea?
Um, I usually look for a couple things, but mainly in TV, the main thing I look for is story engine. Um, and story engine is just the that question that's going to last for 5 seasons, that's gonna keep people coming back, season after season, episode after episode. That's really the main thing that I look for
Yeah.
because without that, you don't have the longevity.
Now, when you say story engine, is there a structure in your head as to what that encompasses?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, like, for example, Succession, right?
Yeah.
Kendall wants to take over the company. That's the story engine of Succession. The second Kendall takes over the company, the show's done.
Hmm.
Ah, okay. Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, when I'm writing TV, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, okay, what is my audience investing in terms
Yeah.
of not just plot, but also character? Like, are they going to look at my character and invest 5 years of their life
Yeah.
into this person?
Well, and that's one thing that I found, Zach, when I stopped by the event in LA, I was talking to a lot of the writers there, is that I think you were attracting a serious writer. I think you were attracting somebody that's willing to put in the time. They were there to learn. I think that's the biggest thing. They were there willing to learn and hopefully put in the time. And the fact that they were able to do it with, such great talent on stage. And they seemed very accessible too, the people that you had speaking at the event.
Yeah, that I mean, and I just can't thank them enough for that, where they really did make themselves accessible, and I know some success stories even of people who have been able to get their have had scripts read by a couple of the managers that were there and things like that. So it's nice to see that some of those relationships have blossomed a little bit, and it's that's kind of what we're hoping for. Even just the networking across writers, 400 people in the same room who all have the same interest together. You're going to make friends.
Oh, the networking is huge.
Yeah, and it's nice to for people to kind of it was really great to see the way people just kind of sidled up with one another. You find someone who's got something in common, or you had a similar experience, you reacted to something that they heard together, and they're kind of they share that. We deliberately put 30 minutes between every panel, even more for lunch, because we want people to have a chance to sort of digest the experience. We partnered with a great company called Statements that the Austin Film Festival also uses, so everybody who attends also gets a video, a transcript. They're able to
Which is amazing. I've seen it.
you saw it, right?
I
They're able
saw it,
to
yeah.
search the transcript. So if you were learning if you heard something about pitching that John Hurwitz said, and you could search and say pitching, and it would bring up
Yeah.
the moment where John's talking about it, and it isolates that clip. And so you can come to the event and just sit and observe, because you don't need to take notes, you don't need to record. That's all coming to you afterwards. And I think from a retention standpoint, that's so important, because we all anybody who's ever been to something like this, a film festival, it's a wonderful experience. You're so immersed in so much, it's impossible as a human being to absorb it all. So some of
Yeah.
it's going to trickle out, but that's what we're hoping we can give them as a point of retention with go back to it, go dig back in for the thing that you wanted. And we're hoping that people see a long-term value to what they can learn here.
Okay, so I'm Lee Daniels. I'm Tony Kushner. What is the pitch that you come to me? Why am I going to come speak at your event? I gotta know what it is that you said to these guys.
I rallied them all around a great cause. The Entertainment Community Fund is a 140 plus year old charity. It started as originally called the Actors Fund. And what it is an organization that supports artists in need. So when there's labor stoppages, the fires, for example, they
Yeah,
help support a lot of people. And to tell a quick story that can kind of illustrate how powerful they can be. So Stephanie is very aware, I'm sure, of script coordinators. The script coordinators work in television. They are the front lines. They deal with a lot of the movements and revisions and scripts on the breakneck pace that television works at day to day.
yeah,
And there's an entire message board that they share resources with one another because if somebody's got a challenge on one show, someone else might be able to help them. And I was privy to that message board in my years at Final Draft. I've stayed connected to that community in the years since. When I was planning the event, I wanted to offer a discount code out to those people. I put it out there. I explained that we were supporting the Entertainment Community Fund. I got 6 different personal emails from people on that board sharing stories. 6 people who came to me to share these stories, never mind people who are probably sitting on similar stories,
yeah.
where the Entertainment Community Fund at times of need had covered electric bills and things like
Wow.
that for them. So that's the kind of stuff that they do. They help people when they're out of work in the industry. And obviously this year with the fires was where they had really put a lot of their resources back into the community. And I thought, well, they need help now kind of rebuilding to continue to do the work that they do. And I thought if we
Yeah,
rallied all of these writers around a donation to go towards them, that they would be willing to participate. And I was right in that. And in the future down the road, I'll be open-minded to other charitable organizations, perhaps to put at the center of this. But I think for right now, this year, especially what the industry's been through, they seem like a great center focus, and that'll be the case for the time being. And it's we're really proud to be able to support them and the writers
yeah,
themselves. If happy to participate, and they know what they're giving back to the community too. They understand, this is not a fan event where they're getting up on stage and they're trying to promote a new movie. They're here in a room of 400 people who want to learn from them how to kind of do the things that they do. So the Lee Daniels, the Tony Kushners, they are brilliant artists, but they've all been on the other side, just like Stephanie explains. She remembers being on the other side because that's not too far removed from her. These other folks, they're so far elevated in their careers. It's important, and they do remember what it was like back on that
yeah.
other side. And it's incredible. They're willing to do what they do and giving us their time.
Well, and I think that what's great is that they give a lot of content. Like you said, it's not just they're going there to tell Hollywood stories. They're giving a tremendous amount of content and insight into how they got their careers and what they do and how they worked it and things that they're doing.
I think one of the most rewarding moments of the whole first event in LA was our keynote with Eric Roth, where he comes up on stage
Yeah,
and he decides to read 3 scenes from works in progress of his.
which is
And
amazing.
amazing to get the insight into his process, but further that he explains in one case how the project is sort of jammed up. And,
Yeah,
and you can almost hear from someone of so much success that even for him, he's going to hit walls sometimes.
yeah.
And everyone in the room, no matter where they are in their careers, has to look at that and go, well, if he can bump into a wall and still have to keep going forward, then I better be ready to do the same. And
Yeah.
I think that's, his willingness to come up there and share that sort of thing was really amazing. And
Yeah, it's definitely that. What walls have you hit? I mean, it sounds like you've had a fairy tale career so far, but surely you've had some instances where it hasn't gone your way. And how did you deal with
I mean, of course.
that?
I mean, even the fellowship, I gave you the abbreviated version, but most of the fellowship, me and my writing partner, we were banging our heads against the wall trying to figure out what we're going to write. And we had written different ideas, drafts after drafts, and throwing them all out. Like nothing was working for
Yeah.
months. And the only thing that was like the through line through all of these drafts was this one character. There was just one character that kept showing up in every single draft. And we loved this character. And she was just in the wrong story. And that's just what
Oh,
kept happening. And at the end of the 9 months, I promise you, something clicked because the
yeah.
head of the fellowship sat us down and she talked to us. And after that conversation, it clicked. And then
Yeah.
we were able to write. But oh my God, I run into stuff all the time.
And
And you never I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna say she never would get there without like putting herself through the torture of those harder drafts and the ones that just
Yeah.
didn't kind of materialize. But without those, you don't get to the breakthrough, you know.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, how often do you have friends that are trying to break into the industry? They come to you and go, Stephanie, I have a great idea for FBI.
Oh my gosh, people always pitch ideas to me. And
Yeah.
I'm not even supposed to hear these things. So I'm
Yeah.
always like, stop.
Uh,
I'm like, I can't. Oh my gosh, even my parents sometimes. My dad will be like,
Oh,
"Oh, it would be a good episode for FBI."
that's hysterical. That is good. Now, has he ever had a good idea?
Um, they're decent. They're
Okay.
decent. I will say that what happens is, he watches the news and he sees something on the news and he's like, I saw this and that would be a great episode." And I'm like, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what is it? Because what I love about like your TikTok is that you really make an effort to give back. I think the fact that you're so open and sharing, you had a great TikTok where you were explaining how much you're going to make if you write a script, and if this happens and if that happens, and that's the stuff that you never hear anybody talk about. What is it that you felt that you needed to put that out there and to get that message out there and to help people?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, Zach also just brought it up again. It goes back to I remember what it was like being on the other side and just feeling like I didn't know where to look for, real practical industry advice. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know anyone that knew anyone in the industry. Like I was I was
Yeah,
outside of it. And so it's just, certain things that bring me back to, well, what would have wanted to know, or like what did I wish that someone had told
Mhm.
me? And that's really where a lot of my TikToks come from. And then also, I listen to my audience as well. And,
yeah.
people leave comments, they engage, they will message me questions. And so I listen to them as well because, it's for them at the end of the day.
Now, were there any particular screenwriting books or TV writing books that you enjoyed that you felt helped you, or
Well, when I was at NYU, it's funny, we didn't read like screenwriting books and TV writing books. We just read, like I told you, we read a bunch of plays. That was
yeah,
like the core curriculum was reading plays. And then after that, we would read screenplays and
yeah.
we would read scripts. So
So it just wasn't theory. You actually read scripts and analyzed scripts and broke them apart.
yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And you hear that advice so frequently from writers that really starts to elevate someone's execution of writing to not just
Yeah,
read about the philosophies of it, but to see it practically happen on a page.
yeah. So Zach, if I'm a writer and let's say I have an agent, but I haven't sold anything, and I come to State of the Story in New York, what is it that you think that I'm going to get out of it?
Yeah, it's interesting the range that we have had in our audience. We have had card carrying WGA members. We've had students. And so I
Yeah,
think there's something in it for everyone, certainly. I mean, the people who are at the earliest phases of their career certainly are coming in with so much to learn. The people who have done some of this before, have if they've gotten, to the point where they've been signed by an agent or a manager, they have material that is shoppable, they're going to really come in and start to look for what they can learn, how to execute that next phase of their career. They're going to hear even from other agents what's happening in sort of selling projects, ways that they can sort of challenge themselves to be more marketable, and really kind of understand kind of what the appetite is. And that's where I think, hearing from the front lines, the absolute best, where you're hearing of people who have the hit shows, the hit movies, who are winning the biggest awards that this art form has to offer. They
Yeah.
can really speak to what it took to get from anywhere you are in your career to the sort of echelon that they're at.
Now, Stephanie, as a writer, is there anybody in particular at this conference that you're really looking forward to meeting? Or,
No,
huh?
the lineup, as a writer myself, I would go to this event.
Yeah,
I would have gone to both LA and New York.
yeah,
And I can't really single out one person because the contributions from everyone to
yeah,
TV, to film are just so big that I literally cannot, I can't even compare. It's really everyone.
yeah, yeah. So, Zach, so you're doing New York, and then after New York, I know you've talked about London next year, but where do you see State of the Story going? What is it that is there like an ultimate goal with this? Is it just to keep it going regularly to give back to the industry? What's the plan?
Yes, we're our goal is going to be to have these happening in key cities every year, and hopefully then also like a rotating set of other locations. So, for example, we did New York and LA this year. We've announced that in July 26, we'll be doing one in London. Next year, we'll also in 26 do another Los Angeles, another New York. And then we're starting to hope that there's other cities that we can bring this to, be it Austin, Atlanta, perhaps other countries, Australia. We want to find the storytelling communities that are out there, and certainly that was the thing that we saw in LA, was that sense of community, and that is everywhere. And we
Yeah,
know that can happen, and we know people appreciate it. And the world we're in now, it is a much more remote uh, business, and people don't have to feel out of the industry if they're not in LA. And that's why we want to bring this to them, because ultimately we can inspire people to tell great stories in other parts of the world. And I think we all benefit when those things kind of find the light of day.
well, let me ask both of you. So if I'm in Fargo or I'm in Salt Lake City and I want to be a TV writer or I want to be a screenwriter, how would you guys recommend that I go about doing it?
Well, it's funny. I'm just going to say one thing. I obviously in the recent year, there's we've had a couple of popular services in our industry decide to shut down, and
Yeah,
and as I monitor social media and a lot of the concerns of the community, it's amazing how much I've heard that, like, what do we do now? um that was not really here more than 10 years ago. It was,
right.
so people found a way before, they're gonna find a way again. Don't let any piece of what's available to you in terms of resources that might come or go ever feel like it shuts down your opportunities. Wherever you are in the world, there is a way in.
Yeah,
There is a way in, be it the blacklist, be it ink tip, be it script pipe. There's ways to network, there's ways to learn. And back to what we've been talking about, if you are sitting there doing the work and you're actually at that keyboard getting better and better and better and better, your material is going to deserve to be seen. And if you put it out to the world in some way, it will find its way up there if it's good.
yeah.
Yeah, and going off of that, I'm a big proponent for fellowships, obviously, contests, competitions, of course. But I think it also goes back to what Zach said earlier. I mean, go make the thing. Go
Yeah,
make it. I mean, we have a 4K device
yeah,
in our hands. And I feel like, that is something that is different about today, is that we have a thing called social media, and that allows you to put yourself out there, to be seen by so many people.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, you don't have to be in LA. So I agree with what Zach said earlier. Go make something.
Go
Well, and
collaborate, put it out there.
Yeah.
yeah, and I can't stress enough. I mean, having done, McKee for years and Story Expo for years and whatnot, the opportunity, put the money together, go to New York, go to an event, go network with 400 other people. That is invaluable. You're not going there to sell your script. You're going there to sell yourself. You're
Yeah.
going there to meet people and to create opportunities for yourself.
Mhm.
And I think just the idea that you feel like you're not alone, because writing, when you're sitting at your computer by yourself, that can be kind of lonely.
You
But
can sorry, but
yeah,
exactly what you just said is exactly what Eric Roth said after his keynote. On our website, you'll see the testimonial video where he says exactly that. Writing is very isolating, and
I wrote that for him.
we sit there all by ourselves,
Yeah,
and we struggle with the challenges with trying to get that character into the right world, like trying to, and until you have a chance to talk to someone else, and suddenly it's refreshing. And it's almost
yeah,
like anything else, when you're in a room of people where you have something in common, suddenly the ice melts pretty quickly. People, I think sometimes, if we're introverted and we feel like, well, I don't want necessarily like being in group conversation, it becomes a lot easier when you're all having a shared experience around something you all love together. You come out of that room, you all just heard something amazing, the conversation starts flowing, you start meeting people that you feel like, I could do something with them. And like Stephanie said, you want to go make something, go collaborate, help one
yeah,
another, shoot a scene from your thing, one scene, just put it on its feet, help get someone to help you with it.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the website, Storytelling 360, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Storytelling360.com. The event
Mm-hmm.
is at the Directors Guild Theater in New York, which I love. It's on 57th Street, October 5th from 10 to
About
5, 4,
five. Yeah, it's a
10 to
full day
5-ish.
event. Yeah.
Yeah. Go meet Stephanie. Don't pitch her ideas. She's not going to listen to you, but she'll be happy to talk to you and pat you on the back and tell you to keep going and do a great job. So,
Yeah.
correct, Stephanie?
That is absolutely correct.
All right, guys. Well, I wish you a tremendous success with this. Zack, I've known you forever. Love you to death.
Love you,
You,
Derek.
you're
Thank
you
you.
are the guy that is going to carry this torch and is going to make it huge. And I love that. Stephanie,
Thank
it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see more of what you do. Can't wait to see more of your TikToks. And I think you guys are going to have an incredible event in New York. And I'm looking forward to success. And hopefully we can talk afterwards and see how everything went.
Yeah, can't wait. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
All
It's
right.
nice to meet you.
Same here. All right. Take care. I'm Derek Christopher for the Pulse of Story podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.